What do you think is religion? What do you think is religion for you personally? Um, for the majority of people, I would say it is believing in historical events. For most people, religion is a way to caress their ego, is a way to inflate their ego, because it gives you a sense of achievement without really achieving anything, right? Like it's a byproduct of your birth. Most people, let's say 99% of the people in the world, are going to stay, let's say, in the religion that they're born in or the culture that they're born in, even if even the people who do not follow a religion, let's say people living in Scandinavian countries or in Canada or Australia who are totally atheistic or agnostic by belief, even they follow a certain culture of life. Like I know many friends who are not religious at all. Even their parents are not religious at all here in the West, but they do celebrate Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and all the other festivals. So it still falls in the same cultural norms. Whether you believe it or not, you're still acting as one, whether regardless of your beliefs. Okay, maybe you won't react on certain situations, but you're still part of that crowd when you are following a certain culture. So if you are following Christian culture, if you are following Western Christian Roman culture, then yeah, you are technically still a Christian. You're an atheist Christian, let's say. So the point that I'm trying to make here is everyone is following some culture or the other. It's hard for a human being to survive without culture because human is a cultural being. Human is not an in yeah he is in human is an individual, but also an individual which has a cultural component, a huge cultural component, and one cannot survive without the other. Right? It's like the two sides of the same coin, individuality and being part of a culture. So, religion actually, I would say for most part, for most people, is culture. What culture that they follow. Um, so most people that live and die do so in the culture that they were born in. Like rarely does someone migrate to, let's say, India and immerse into the Indian culture, become a Hindu culture, or follow their traditions, their practices, rather than um, you know being a Westerner. So religion, for most part, is a culture that someone follows. Secondly, what follows after the culture is historical events. Some people try to look for a just figure, like who's following a more just figure. Now, some people are just following basically their ego, and they've never ever written like a single word from their holy scriptures. Even if they have, they do not understand it because it's in another language or a dialect. And most of the people are ego worshipping. When they say that they're worshipping a god, what they're really worshipping is their own ego, through a book, through an ideology, um, through a community. Really, if you analyze, most religious people are highly egoistic too. And that's because Religion it's like a manure fed to the ego, and it's one of the most potent manures out there. So be careful how you handle it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say that it's completely bad. Yes, some parts of religions, yes, they are definitely useful when you need them. It's something like having a stick for your assistance, where if you're not a good walker, or if you have a bad leg and you have a stick for assistance, or let's say you've gone hiking and you have an axe or an ice axe, or yeah, a hiking stick, that even though you have two good legs, that hiking stick might come handy in a emergency situation. So that's how religion also plays a part in human role. I mean, in human life. However, if you carry that stick everywhere, if you take it on the metro, if you take it in the subway, if you take it on the bus, if you take it in the classroom, if you take it in the grocery store, if you take it to the doctor's office, to the elevator, to the kids' school, it's going to be a nuisance, right? So that stick at some point will be a hindrance. It will be um, it will be an extra weight to be pulled by you. That's how religion also is. Okay, so be careful where you use it, where you take it, where you implement it. There's always a place and time for it. Okay, don't carry it everywhere, otherwise it will become a problem for you. However, okay, getting back to the topic, the historical beliefs. Yes, so for most people, religion is historical beliefs. Okay, which person do you follow, and what is their lifestyle? What have they said? And just basically followership. For very few, it is the quest for truth. Actually, that's where the concept of religion could have originated from, is the concept of finding real answers, where that's what we call science today, right? Like finding the reality or the true nature of reality. But my understanding over the years has been so extremely solidified on the fact that modern science is also a type of a religion. um, we are following priests of religion, like it. Okay, before getting to that, just imagine the setup of education. Okay, it's exactly like the setup of an organized religion, where a priest would stand up on a podium or a pedestal and speak to a bunch of kids sitting in front of them for hours and hours from a book. The kids are not able to challenge what is being taught. The kids are not able to refute what is being taught. Excellence depends on repetition. Excellence depends on obedience. Excellence depends on keeping your head down and going with the flow, rather than using your brain, using your senses, using your intellect in a productive, in a creative way. And that's really been the setup of education since the inception of it around the 1850s, before which religion was the stronghold for all types of so-called information for the general public, right? Before public education became common. So you also have to think that the world has been owned for a long, long time And this belief that countries are free, or you are free, or all of the 194 countries that exist in the world are self-governing free entities running on their own. If you think that that's the fact, and the democracy, the people that you really elect, the people you see on TV, are the people really making decisions behind the doors and forming laws and running the show, then I'm sorry to say, but you might be really lost if you hold those beliefs as true beliefs. Like, it's good to watch as a show, but in reality, when you really analyze the world and when you go deep enough, you'll come to the understanding that things are rarely what they seem to be, and the world has always been owned and always will be owned. It's been owned by individuals, and it's been governed and run by individuals too. So this whole understanding that we are free, and the people that we elect are the people running the society and the government. Yeah, it's very naive to have those beliefs, even in this age of 2024. The world has been owned by a very handful of families since the beginning of time, and they keep the power to themselves. Okay, they have exorbitant amount of power through wealth. The way they have power is through their extreme amount of wealth and the systems that they've created in place. And they are expert in human behavior. They are expert in crowd manipulation. They're expert in swaying your political beliefs, your religious beliefs as a crowd, as an individual. They're experts in creating ideologies, in creating systematic downfall of a country, of a region, of a community. They're experts at that. They have every trick in the book, and they have all the resources to make it happen. Okay, so everything that's happening around is a part of a plan, and it's their plan. Okay, like your country's government might have a 5 year or a 10 year plan, or a 15 year plan, but the people who run the show, who own the world, let's say, operate on a 120 to 150-year plan. So it's way beyond a human lifespan, and that's why it's so hard to comprehend that something like this might even be in place. But that is the real situation. So um, the people who invented the previous ideologies are the people who invent the new ideologies as well, including um, religion and the new religion of science. So yeah, like we was talking about the setup. So the setup of modern education is exactly like the setup of religion, right? Like a preacher preaching from pedestal, people listening, no questions asked, follow a book, follow a system, pass, become a clergy, don't ask questions, get paid, believe in something, and that something now, in the religion of science, is science itself, right? Like scientist itself, like it's asking you to believe in a higher, like a higher, smarter community of people, like Stephen Hawkins, who is he's like Stephen Hawkins is a psyop on on human psyche. He's an he's placed there to undermine you and to show that, look, smartness, this is smartness. What you think is not really smartness. What's going in your head, the questions that you have, the doubts that you have, it's just nonsense. Listen to this guy in a chair who cannot even move a muscle in his body, but he's 10 times smarter than you. Yeah, he's a psyop on the human psyche, on the whole human population. And people like Stephen Hawking have been a psyop. Now, I'm not saying don't confuse literacy with science, okay? I'm not saying knowing how to read and knowing how to write and singing poems and knowing stories, knowing historical facts and other things are, yeah, they're part of education, but that's more like literacy. Okay, you need to know how to read and write and count and multiply and do some basic calculations, yes. But what I'm talking about is the theory part of the religion of science, which is the theory of, let's say, even evolution, the theory of uh, mm, relativity, the theory of uh, what is it? The ever expanding universe, the theory of black holes, the theory of uh, um, what is it? The medicine theory that doctors follow. It comes in very broad form, in very broad terms. It's called the dead souls doctrine, but um, either ways, the movie that came out on Stephen Hawkins was called The Theory of Everything. That means that guy was like the master of everything, and I was the first guy who ran to watch the movie. But it was it was based on his personal life, not showing anything about science or physics or the universe or nothing. And that was when I was naive to believe enough in their propaganda. But yeah, buddies, science, just like any other ideology, is also a religion. If you follow it to a certain extent, yes, you will find that yeah, things are true, which could have been in any religion. Like 50%, 30%, 40% of the things are true in fact, because that's just probability, right? Like anything, if it's a yes or no outcome, there's a 50-50 probability anyway. So however, when you look deep enough into science as well, you will start to see that there's um, so many theories which are very baseless, which are very um, prophetic, as to say, like as if coming from, a higher figure where you cannot even question them, like Principia Mathematica and some of the older books that have been written in Latin, on which this whole shebang of modern education is sitting on or standing on. And most of those books are nonsense. They, like, whatever is written in those books is just gobbledygook. Sorry to say, and I don't mean to have a huge inflated ego, but uh, a lot of the yeah, a lot of the sorry for I just lost. It still boggles my mind when I think about this fact that so many students, billions of students in the world, are studying, I don't know what, I don't know, made up stuff. Their parents lifetimes of savings, some parents lifetime of savings been spent on education and this thing called science. But there's so much goop lying under the books actually, and mostly primary, like the education until grade 10 is what, actually grade 12 until, yeah, until you pass high school. um a lot of it is very questionable, very questionable. But our current education setup is such that once we move on to the next grade, we just thank the Lord that we passed the previous grade and never look back at what was taught. And by the time you reach college, university, and everywhere else, you have been fed with so much nonsense that you even forget what you were taught in school. So without having a strong base, we begin to believe in higher concepts and uh, um, thinking that they are better ideologies. Let me give you an example. Like a surgeon, like a doctor who's expert on working on heart, or expert on doing a stomach surgery, expert on doing a brain surgery. Yeah, that guy might be an expert on doing a brain surgery, but he might be zero on nutrition, which is the foundation of the whole system that's running your body. Most doctors actually, medical medicine is a field of expert salesmen. I would say, like, some salespeople can do some procedures as well. Especially the physician field is like medical salesmen with some advice, which have a license to give you advice. Other than the operatives, like all the other medical procedures are nonsense anyways. So, but never go to a medical doctor for nutritional advice. Okay, never ever go to a medical doctor for nutritional advice, because they have none. They know none, they're taught none. So um, at a if medicine, which is regarded such a high, which is given such a high status in society and in the education field, if that is so disconnected with its reality, there where doctors are so clueless about nutrition. That's me coming from a medical family. Okay, both of my parents are from the medical field, and I'm telling you the ground reality. I've been friends, like, ever since I was a kid. I've seen expert doctors as my uncles, as my elder brothers, and as my community. So I've seen them very closely, and I have to tell you that doctors know nothing about nutrition. Okay, nothing, nothing. Okay, they might know a few things which are which even like a sports trainer might know nowadays, but most doctors are clueless about nutrition. They're expert about their own field of work, but in broader terms, they don't really know how the body works. Okay, a bone doctor doesn't really know how the body works in general. He just knows about bones. That's how fragmented our system is. That's how segregated our system is. So yeah, if medicine, which is regarded in such high terms, is based on so much misinformation, or is based on so much fragmentation, segmentation, then just imagine what's the case of other fields of education, such as archaeology or geography or history, for that fact, like mathematics or physics or chemistry. You have no idea. Okay, I'll explore some of these in my coming episodes. So stick along, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.